All right, thank you, Bill. Well, Sarah Palin's bombshell interview with Barbara Walters sparking some new questions about a possible 2012 run for the White House. The former Republican VP candidate says that she thinks she could beat President Obama if she decides to run. First, Barbara Walters asked her if she would run, and Palin's response was this: "I am looking at the lay of the land now, trying to figure out if it's a good thing for the country, for the discourse, for my family, if it's a good thing." Barbara Walters then asked, if you ran for president, could you beat President Barack Obama? To which Palin said this: "I believe so." Interesting, huh? Jason Rowe joins me now. He is the former deputy campaign manager to Mitt Romney. David Webb is a co-founder of the New York branch organization Tea Party 365. He's also a radio talk show host. Gentlemen, good to have you here today.
Good morning.
Jason,
Good morning.
You know, I mean, it certainly sounds like she's planning on running.
You know, at this point, all the indications are that she looks to be running, and I think, you know, any candidate that is serious has to start to put the organization in place now, both to suck up the talent that's out there and available to the various candidates, but also to get out there and start building the organization that'll be necessary to be competitive.
Yeah, you know, it's interesting. I read the other day that by this point, after the midterms, John McCain had already declared. It is certainly not too early for folks to be declaring, and yet not a lot of them have. And David Webb, one of the reasons that I'm hearing for why people haven't declared is they're waiting to see what she's going to do.
Yeah, and a lot of people are playing the political calculus of who goes first. Is it smarter to be the first one or wait for Sarah Palin? Look, right now we have 4 or 5 main contenders, but there's also the unknown contender who will rise up in the next 2 years and be that surprise star for the Republican Party.
Yeah, and we have a couple names we want to talk to about with regard to that. But let's pull up these polls that Gallup did. And basically they show Mitt Romney, Sarah Palin, Mike Huckabee, Newt Gingrich, all getting a lot of attention. There's the favorable, unfavorable view. Sarah Palin, 52% unfavorable, Jason. Do you think she could beat Barack Obama?
No, I actually do not think she could beat Barack Obama. I think she would be very, very competitive in a Republican primary, but I don't think that she's our best candidate to take into the general elections against Obama.
Who do you think? I mean, you used to work for Mitt Romney. Do you still support him?
Yeah, you know, I don't support anyone at this point. It's pretty early. You know, you have to see who's going to get in and what kind of organization and message people are going to be putting together. You know, I think you have to look at who has the ability to put together the kind of organization you need in a presidential, and so Mitt Romney would be at the very top of that list. I also think his credibility on economic issues, had the economy been more of an issue than foreign affairs in the last election, I think Mitt Romney would have been the nominee. Some people think it might have made a difference. Yeah. We'll never know the answer to that question, but we may find out something this time around. David, do you think that Sarah Palin could beat Barack Obama?
I don't think at this time she can say that and prove it. Here's the problem. Everybody's picking the winner and the personalities. Let's look at the skill sets and be pragmatists. Who can win the election across the country? That's not going to be determined for about another year, or at least we're not going to have a better picture for another year on who can really beat Barack Obama.
All right, let me throw in a couple of interesting red herrings here. This morning, Donald Trump was over at ABC talking to George Stephanopoulos, and he said, you know what? He said, I'm thinking about running. I'm going to decide by June, is what Donald Trump says. He says, look, I talk to Chinese business leaders all the time, and they're laughing at us. They think that we're being run by fools. And he said, no problem. I could throw $200 million at a campaign if I decided to do it. Not a big deal for me. Jason, what do you think?
You know, it'd certainly make the race more interesting. I think, frankly, it would benefit Republicans because I think there will be a lot of dissatisfaction with Barack Obama, and anything that we could to divide the left-of-center vote, I think, would be helpful to us. But I think we've got some very good, very serious candidates that we could put up in the general election, and so as a Republican, I would welcome a third-party candidate. I think it would be helpful to us.
I think he's talking about running as a Republican.
Yeah. You know, then great. That's even better. He would be an interesting addition to it and make the primaries more entertaining than they normally are.
Well, let me ask the Tea Party representative here. If you had a choice between Sarah Palin and Donald Trump as the Republican nominee, David, who would you have more confidence in to beat the president?
Well, the better chance there, I think, would be clearly Sarah Palin. Look, I love the Donald. He's a great guy. But I don't see him winning across the board. But that's my other caution to everyone who says this is the candidate, this is the candidate.
Yep.
We have got bigger issues, and we need to look at the country's voting landscape and realize that these conservative values that we need to vote back in are going to be carried by someone who can capture the most votes, not just the support of one niche or the other.
Yeah, well, a lot of people think it may be somebody else, an emerging leader.
That
Who
unknown
that person,
candidate.
Could be, will be the subject of lots of these kind of discussions in days and weeks to come and months to come. Jason, thank you. David, thank you. Great
Thanks.
to see you guys.